Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Blackshirt Breakdown. My name is Steve Marik, and that is Jay Foreman, an 8-year NFL veteran and a former Blackshirt from the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And we are back with the second ever Blackshirt Breakdown. We'll be breaking down a few plays from Nebraska's 20-13 loss to the Minnesota Golden Gophers. First of all, before we get into that, Jay, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right, man. And the weather's good, but I wish the vibe would be a little bit different. I wish we would have pulled it out again yesterday, but overall I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, the Gophers get out of here, and that's the fourth straight loss to Minnesota and last 5 out of 6. So yeah, PJ Fleck's doing whatever he's doing it right, and he has Nebraska's number.
Yeah, I mean he's built that program up to where they definitely play to their strengths, and they know who they are, and they're hard to beat because you have to beat them, and they're good at what they do. And if you let them hang around like we did yesterday and don't put the nail in the coffin, they'll find ways to scratch out a victory. So you got to give them kudos for coming down here and finding a way to win. And sometimes it doesn't have to be pretty because all that matters is that you have more points than the opponent does after the game's over.
Absolutely. So let's get right into it. So just a little bit about the Blackshirt Breakdown. We'll be breaking down one good play, one bad play, and then a really cool series called Cause and Effect that I really think is awesome. So let's start with the one good play here. So let's share my screen here. So yeah, Jay, this is just our first play that we're going to break down here. It's a 2-yard loss from backup running back Trey Potts from Minnesota. We'll take it through here, and so first of all, what do you see?
Yeah, I mean Minnesota's here in 11 personnel, the trips formation, try to run a little bit of quick jet motion to try to confuse the eyes of the second and third level, and Nebraska does a really good job and discipline is not only staying home. Look at how all the defenders of Nebraska are just punching a hole in Minnesota's offensive line and resetting the line of scrimmage. Look where you see the black line here, and then when the ball snapped, you've seen these guys getting off the ball, punching a hole right in these guys. It's led by Colton Feast, Ty Robinson. Look at these guys just moving it 2-3 yards in the backfield. Caleb Tanner taking on a 310-pound tackle, holding his own. See Colton Feast not only going against a potential All-American center, beating him to the point where it should have been a holding call, which allows Ernest Hausman to make a great tackle on a legitimate back. And the thing that Minnesota has, they have 3 legitimate backs that can handle, being the number 1 back. And that was forced last year because of injury, but it's also how they develop guys. But again, look, Colton Feast getting him. You'd like to see him get off the ball a little bit, but look, there he goes down the line of scrimmage. He makes a play here that's not going to show up in the stat sheet, but he makes the play. It allows Gifford to come up there and shoot his shot. Great tackle by Hausman there, taking on a block and getting off the block for a almost 5-yard loss in the backfield. And look at him, even Hausman. Look at a young guy right there, good leverage. You see the head snap back on 77. Engage off of him. You see Gifford up there, eyes on the ball. Look, good leverage. The edge is set. The alley players there. The defensive line is running down the line of scrimmage, and you even see Luke Reimer right here coming into the picture. So look at all the angles right there after the ball carrier is on the ground. There's nowhere for them to go, and that was the defensive game plan. And for most of the day, I think they played well against the run. And you're seeing guys resetting the line of scrimmage against an offensive line that's known or tries to be known as being physical, and then they're getting off blocks, hustling to the ball. It doesn't have to look pretty. Look at Isaac Gifford in there, and a really good job by Ernest Hausman right there to not only set the edge, hold your leverage, not get blown out and making the edge softer, but then getting off the block and making a pretty tough tackle against a legitimate back. And so, this is good team defense is what Nebraska needed to do. I felt like they set the tone particularly really well in that first half. And you see it right here, it's 10-0. And Nebraska really did a good job against this whole Minnesota offense, but in particularly the run game. And I don't think there's been, for Minnesota to have negative 7 or 8 yards of total offense going into a halftime. That hasn't happened in a while, in a very long time, and maybe some years and some seasons. So Nebraska did a really good job against this running attack in the first half. And this is just one of the many plays that they did excellent as a team and team defense. And the great thing about it, you had Colton Feast, really making the play and making everybody else's job easier. It's not showing up in the stat sheet, but that's what you do as a defensive lineman. Then you had a great edge set by a young guy that hasn't even been in college for over a year. And then you had Gifford ready to come there. And then even the secondary flow to the ball, which would be Luke Reimer doing his job, knowing find out where the ball is. And if Potts was able to break that tackle or possibly Gifford's tackle, Luke Reimer was going to be right there for the cleanup. And that's what you do, a really good defensive game plan and execution by those black shirts. So, I was proud of those guys yesterday. I felt like they played winning football. That means good enough to win. I think they did a really good job against overall the Minnesota running attack, tackled well, wasn't perfect, got themselves out of some tough situations and kept us in the game. And it just wasn't enough. But I know that they're probably looking at film thinking maybe we could have had a turnover here or there, or maybe score on defense. But overall, I think they played really good, team defense and played pretty sound.
Jay, going into this game, it seems like a lot of the talk was about Mo Ibrahim, that offensive line against Nebraska's defensive front. Did you expect them to play as well as they did? Because I sure as heck did not.
Well, I did. I felt like, and we said it a little bit last week, on our Blackshirt report, is that they actually had a good, I guess, a precursor to go against Minnesota. I feel like Illinois offense and running game is probably a little bit better than Minnesota, and so you get and I felt they played really good against Chase Brown last weekend, and I think a good offensive line last weekend. And so when you show up again, you're ready for it, and they played well. So I was expecting them to do well. I feel like this scheme that Bill Bush has been implementing here for the last 4 or 5 weeks is a good, sound scheme. It's easy to execute. He's adding stuff in, it seems, week by week. And now you're seeing guys play a little bit more confidence. And I like the ability to make adjustments as well, which Coach Bush has done, and Coach Dawson, and Travis Fisher, and Coach Rude. And so I like what they're doing. So I expected them to play well. And I felt like the rally to the ball was good last week. It was even better this week. So I think that's why they tackled well. And, I'm sure it's something that they're going to try to hang their hat on and continue to improve on in these next 3 weeks.
All right, let's done with the good play. Let's go to the bad play. Unfortunately, it's got to be Chubba Purdy's interception here. So we'll let this run through and get it. So obviously just some quarterback issues right now at Nebraska. Casey Thompson was unable to play. Chubba Purdy got the start, and it didn't necessarily. He had 2 good drives, I think, to start the game. But then it just seems like it slowed down. Some adjustments were made defensively for Minnesota. And then, on this 3rd and 15 to start the 4th quarter, just a brutal interception.
Well, I mean, when you're playing the quarterback position, sometimes you just got to take your medicine and survive. You're behind the chains. You started behind the chains when he came back in there with the, delay of game. And the ball, as far as the route might have been open, but the loft on the ball, obviously was too high, which allowed Minnesota to recover. And you have to know they look like they might have been in the cover 4 type of coverage. And so you got a guy playing deep on the outside, and a guy maybe playing in the alley there is another quarter defender. And so you didn't have a direct threat to take the eyes of the corner off of the deep 7 cut here, because you see him coming right there. So the delayed flat there. And so the corner was allowed to play deep to short. You got to think, when you're 3rd down, you're in a quarter, and you're playing quarterback position, you got to think this defense has you backed up. They're going to try to play at the sticks on down. And so what you want to do is maybe get the ball to a guy underneath and have some good blocking out in the perimeter. But you see, he held on the ball a little bit long. The loft is there. It allowed number 4 to make a play on the ball, and 27 could have possibly made a play on the ball. You see the linebackers, or the underneath coverage, is really, really deep. When the ball, they're already at the 15-yard mark, which is number 14. I think he's kind of like a nickel, kind of a joker type of position. So they were playing for this route right here. And the schematics of what we do is really good. I like how we're able to get free releases for a Trey Palmer to get up on those guys. But again, he's the number 1 receiver in the Big Ten, or one of them. They're definitely going to have eyes on him. And this is another way to run a corner route, but he's just coming from the other side of the formation. And you just see the loft in the trajectory of the ball, even if, it was thrown a little bit earlier, the loft of it it's already out of the screen. every half a second allows a phenomenal athlete, as every team in the Big Ten can get, has on the roster, to get underneath that ball. And so also you see Logan right here, you need to probably work a little bit more on his eyes, kind of probably, stare down, Trey too much. And so you got to think that it's zone defense, they're looking at you. So you have to manipulate the defense with your eyes and maybe a pump fake here or there. But if it's not truly open, and if it's not truly open, sometimes you got to throw underneath and hope for the best and live another set of downs, because after this interception, it allowed Minnesota to go right in and get a 10-point lead. And so with a team like Minnesota that's not and a true passing team like Ohio State, the closer the game is, the more pressure stays on them. Now they're able to go out and play offense in an advantageous position and score 7 points and be up by 10. Now they can kind of play Minnesota football, drain the clock, and put the pressure solely over there on the Husker sideline. So it's a learning process. I know we call these the bad plays. I think this is definitely a learning play in a process for Logan Smothers. And it's not only that, but it's preparing for the game, how to play the position of quarterback, commanding the huddle, playing situational football is something that you have to almost study separately than actually studying the playbook, because out in the field, or if this is down towards the 20 or 30 yard line, this interception isn't as paramount, because you could look at it like, okay, it's 3rd and 15 and we might be in a headwind, so we wouldn't be able to kick the field goal. Essentially it'd be as good as a punt, and they will be backed up in their own red zone, or black zone as we used to call it on defense. But in this case, when you're backed up in your own black zone, you have to be more conservative with the football, and it ended up being a big turnover in the game. It led to 7 points and took all the momentum, doubled up the momentum that the Gophers had coming out of halftime.
Yeah, absolutely. And after this pick by Chuba, obviously the Minnesota offense, they went right down the field, 7 consecutive runs. They just played Minnesota Gopher football. They ran clock. Yeah. They ran it with Mo Ibrahim, got it in the end zone, and yeah, like you said, took that 10-point lead. So yeah, let's go to the cause and effect play right here, and this one is Logan Smothers. This is his one third quarter drive that he got. He is faced with a 3rd and 3 right now on his own, looks like 17-yard line. Jake, see here.
You see right here, and you have it in I think it's like 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 3. 3rd and 3, excuse me. And you see right here, you see you get what you want. You got man-to-man defense, kind of, or man-to-man or matchup zone defense. You have the perfect play call route to it in the perfect matchup that you'd like, right? So it's a zone defense right here, and you're going to have a flat defender, and you got Oliver Martin on the run. Now, I will say this: you would like that ball out of the quarterback's hands before 89 gets into his full break. So you'd like it out of his hands right about now, right? Just that half a second allows him to kind of get close and make a play on the ball. But I will say this: any ball or any receiver will tell you, the ball touches your hands, you got to catch it. In the Big Ten, you're going to have to deal with tight coverage, physical guys that's going to try to knock it out of there. Right there, you got to come back to the ball right there and actually make the referee make a call on forward momentum. The thing is, it's a good, safe play for Logan Smothers coming into the game. Works into his skill set, get him out on the run. It's a pass that he can complete and throw a little bit behind the receiver, but the receiver also has to make an adjustment to the quarterback right there. See, the ball needed to be right out of his hands, leading him to the sideline. But at the end of the day, this Gopher defender, which he does a really good job, so you want to give him credit, was going to try to make a play on the ball through you. Now, what you do is you body him out just like you're playing basketball and box him out there, and then you also make the ref make a call on possibly early as far as the pass interference as well, right? So see how he kind of floated up that extra yard, which would have been to the 20-yard line. You want to get to the 19.5-yard line at most and be able to come back that half yard. See, when you go upfield a little bit more, your body goes up and your body goes towards the 20 and your hands are back there. So then therefore you have no leverage and no strength to catch the ball with your hands and be strong. So that means you want to catch it quick, get it into your body, right? So when your body is going one way, your arms are going the other, you actually make your length and your wingspan shorter. So if you take a look at it, this right here, you'd like this pass out of his hands right there to the outside of the numbers. But as you see the ball coming to you, you have to be able to break down and be able to stop and catch the ball right there. So ideally, here's what you'd like: flat route pass. We'll deal with it. You see it, stop, put on the airlock brakes. He wouldn't have been outside of the number, right? See, we'll play it one more time. If you adjust to the pass, what you have to do, and you need to be a little bit faster in his speed motion, right? So if you're not, see how you came out of his break right there? That's if you're, and I think that threw off the pass, to be honest with you. And I'm not making excuses, and I'm not the coach. I'm only speaking for myself. But how you're coming out of this right there, that's not a speed route. You see that? You see what I'm saying? And so we need a little bit more energy, a little bit more speed there, because this play right here is huge because you got a new quarterback. Let him get some confidence, get the momentum. You're in 3rd and manageable now. 3rd and 3 has got to be a money down for Nebraska when you have the 2nd and 3rd string quarterback in, and we have to be clean. This is the 3rd downs that we need to get. It takes more time off the clock and stops the momentum for the Gophers to come, because they came out of halftime and got 3 points. Now, if we could continue along with this drive, now we're down to at least a 4-minute, 3.5-minute, maybe 2-minute mark as far as the possibility when they get the ball back. And it's a great play by number 11 here, but I'd like to think that we have a good enough skill position guys to play, to make the play on the ball and get it, and then allow the Gophers to get the ball and then tie the game up. And so these are the little plays right here that lead to, wins and losses and points given up. And this is a tight game. And when you're playing a team like the Gophers, and I want to give the offensive line credit as well. They're moving and picking up guys. They've blocked well in the run game and pass game. Better, this is one of their better games, I think. I saw a lot more energy out of guys. Physicality was there. They're doing good. Look, they're moving. Good play there by Anthony Grant, just getting enough of 97 into what he's doing here. If you look at Anthony Grant, it's not the perfect chip block, but it's a kind of a slide out, and you're moving the pocket right here, which you need to do with Logan Smothers. So you want to give Whipple a lot of credit, working, into his skill set. See, Anthony Grant does enough here on this chip block so number 97 can't get his hands up, because normally you'd want to have that left hand up, a clean pocket to throw to. Yeah, it could have been a better play, but you see that right there. You need to get that into your body or catch it in your hands and be strong with that. That's got to be a 1st down catch. Continue along the drive, because you want to stop the momentum of the Gophers, especially after they get 3 points. A team like the Gophers, if you give them an inch, they're going to get a foot. If you give them a foot, they're going to get a mile. And so in order to really beat them and get them out of their comfort zone, you got to make these plays like this. You got to catch these balls that aren't perfect, because in this game of football, nothing's perfect. And I'm sure that, the quarterback gurus will say, hey, the ball needed to be out quicker. Yes, it should have. Could the ball been placed outside? Yes, it should have. But the ball was in the middle of his body and a little bit behind him towards his right leg. I'd like to think we have good enough receivers, and Oliver Martin's good enough to make this play at a crucial 3rd down.
Absolutely. So, Jay, what I want to ask you is, how do you think, in your opinion, how are you seeing Mark Whipple's use of the backup quarterbacks? Because we knew going into the game that Casey Thompson probably wasn't going to play. Do you think Whipple should have gone with Logan Smothers and tried him sooner in the game?
Well, yeah. I mean, we have we're blessed to watch it, to know what had already happened during the game. So of course, I'm going to say you should have went to Logan a little bit quicker because of the way that the two played. But I also will say this, and this isn't, I'm never going to criticize a coach, but I will say what I know and what I've seen out of Logan Smothers. That Logan Smothers stepped into a high pressure situation last year against Iowa, performed admirably. I think that it took us to where we had to lead not once but twice. So that fell on the defense, I felt, in special teams to win or lose that game. And the one thing I learned about Logan, or see from Logan, is that he knows how to play the position of quarterback. I think a little bit better. I think he grew up with his dad being a coach. He knows how to, if you look, command the huddle, get in and out of the huddle, keep the team on time as far as getting the plays off or when you want to get the play called. I just think he has a little bit more experience. And so, of course, I would have liked to see him go to Logan. I think he gives you a little bit of a, more, RPO, but I think, Chuba can do that. But I think Logan can do a little bit better as far as throwing on the run. But I will say this, right, for, Logan Smothers, I felt like the second to last play, 3rd and 5, he's out there on the way out there on the corner, nobody in sight. I'd like to see him tuck it and get the 1st down, especially when you have a minute left and you can kind of, survive in advance and drive down there and possibly get a touchdown. But I will say that last pass he threw to Trey was right there too, kind of reminiscent of what we saw here. So what we have to do is make these plays, these 50-50 balls, these physical plays, out there in the perimeter. We just needed to make a few more of those, and we would have probably had maybe a possibility of a different outcome. But as far as the quarterback goes, I'm gonna trust Whipple and what he wants to do. But of course, I'd like to see Logan, and maybe that'll happen here. As we or as get prepared for Michigan, to give them something to think about, because whether if Casey plays, then obviously Casey would be in there. But if he's not available this week, I'd assume that it would be a little bit more close to 50-50 as far as like the amount of series and play snaps between Logan and Chuba. But I wouldn't close the door totally on Chuba. I think it's they must really like something about him, and they see his potential. So it's just a learning process what he's going through right now. And he's learning in front of 90,000 people and on national TV, and it's not as easy as everybody thinks it is. But then also, I will say this: you need to appreciate Casey Thompson and what he's done, especially early in the season, with some offensive line issues that I think they've played well the last 2 games. And now you see the difference between Casey and the other 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the drops, because both of the backups had to go through them. Logan with right there, Oliver Martin, and then Trey Palmer. And then Chuba even had one earlier in the game with Travis Vokalek on a 3rd and long too. So yeah, I mean, it's just going to be a storyline this week, and obviously the quarterback situation always is going to the week. So we'll obviously ask Mickey and Whipple about it before the Michigan. Yeah, Michigan, number 3 Michigan, undefeated Michigan, 9-0. They got past Rutgers 52-17, but at halftime it was 17-14, and they were trailing. The Wolverines were trailing before outscoring the Scarlet Knights 38-0 in the second half. So Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, JJ McCarthy, they're coming. So it's sure going to be interesting, and we'll be here next week to break it all down. For Steve Marik, that's Jay Foreman, and that was Blackshirt Breakdown.